Calaroga Shark Media.
Ariana Grande hosts Saturday Night Live tonight. I say that with the emphasis on the T. Otherwise, in my native accent, it's just Saturday Night Live. Musical guest Stevie Nicks. I don't know if you know this. SNL's turning 50. We're going to talk about it every day for the next 8 months. The Hollywood Reporter asked Michael Che, if you see on your phone that Lorne Michaels is calling, what's your reaction? I'd freak out. I know I would. Che said, something's wrong. I'm always like, uh-oh, who did it and how are we going to fix it? Or it's something like, oh, we're hosting the Emmys. But I have a great relationship with Lorne. I think everybody's relationship with him boils down to the fact that he's one of the few people who you truly respect their opinion about show business because he's seen it all. Same question to Colin Jost. Jost says, it depends on what time it is and what section of the year it is. Che says, if it's 3 a.m. and it says FaceTime video, boss has been drinking. That's funny. Joe says, no, he's a night owl, and he has different relationships because of it. He's up till 3, 4 a.m. every night, so he has certain people he knows are always up then, too, and they have communication between the hours of 2 and 4, and not in an out-drinking way, just a regular noon conversation, but it's 3 a.m. Do you guys stay up all night? Che says, yep. Jost said, I had a long run, but I can't anymore. I think he's learned that I'm not going to respond until 9 a.m., and then he's going to see it at 11 a.m. when he wakes up. This is fun. I like this interview a lot. Interesting comment here from Lorne Michaels. 6 or 7 years ago, somebody high up at the network who never asked me SNL questions out of respect said, update with Jost and Che. Do you think that's working? And Lorne's answer says, I said, no, not yet. And he said, oh, you know? I'm like, of course I know, but there's a chemistry there. And we've had a lot of good combinations, but these two just brought out the best in each other. Like, who else could make jokes about Colin and Scarlett? And the joke swap, whatever hostility you thought was lurking below the surface, it's all visible in the joke swap. But it's meant to be funny, and it's truly funny. I just like that Che can take these positions, which kind of fly in the face of the values of most of the audience, and he's funny, and they laugh, and they like him. Wow, that is interesting. Are there ground rules for the joke swap? Che says, I don't know if there's a line. I think anything can work given the circumstance, and also nothing can work given the circumstance. Che gives great answers. He is so insightful with these things, insightful and funny at the same time. I love his answers. Che said, my thing with joke swap, which is the most stand-up thing we do at SNL, is that the audience just has to believe that I'm trying to embarrass Colin and that this really bothers him and vice versa. And if that comes across, then they're not thinking about the content of the joke. So it's not, oh, that's a racist joke. It's more, oh, I can't believe he's going to make him say that out loud. Hollywood Reporter, why do you think you've both ultimately stayed at the show? Che, my mortgage. No, we love it. We love the show. It's a weird thing because you get moments where you love it so much it drives you crazy and you want to be as far away from it as possible. Joe says it's like when you play golf. A lot of times it's very frustrating, and there are times you certainly consider quitting, but then you hit a good shot and you're like, whoa, I love this game. I should do this all the time. That's the way it is with SNL. When everything comes together and all the costumes look great and the timing's perfect and the crowd's good, you're just like, this is the best job in the world. This next story, let me just be honest with you. I'm recording this on Wednesday to accommodate my schedule. Bert Kreischer posted on Facebook his Bert Aid show was supposed to be in Tampa tonight. Now, I'm in the past. You know what the situation in Tampa is right now. So if I'm a little tone deaf, I just want to be clear. I recorded this there's already 3 days ago. But here, we'll let Bert explain.
Tampa. This is the least important information you'll hear all week, but obviously my show, October 12th, at Ruth Eckerd Hall has been pushed. It was for the relief for Hurricane Helene, and now we will do it November 15th, and apparently it'll be for both hurricanes. If you're in Tampa, stay safe, evacuate if you can, and if you grew up with me, send me a text because my parents are staying in Tampa for the hurricane. They're not leaving. We try to get them to leave, so I may need you to check up on them. God bless. Stay safe. I will see you soon.
I stumbled across this article. I don't know how much I'm going to get out of it. This is one of those things, I'm just diving in the pool. I might get 30 seconds here, or we might go another 8 minutes. But I skimmed the first two things. Let me tell you what it is. This is from thehardtimes.net. The premise, every character from Lost ranked by how they'd be as a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience. So that's fun. I was like, oh, I'll do this. There'll be like 10. No, there's 80. And number 80 is Michael. And I'm not going to read all 80. I'm just going to read the ones that make me laugh. 79 is Charlie. And the premise from the Hard Times is it turns out that Joe Rogan hates the band Drive Shaft. And we know Charlie is always seeking approval, so the episode would be incredibly hard to listen to because Charlie would relapse on air. 78 is Alana Verdansky. Hard Times has a good writer. They wrote, Rogan would forget who she is, just like the rest of us is. Quite frankly, it's astonishing we took the time to add her to this list. I have no idea who she is, and I love Lost. I'm going to look it up. Is this Saturday filler, John? Did you tape this like 2 weeks ago? Maybe. Alana is introduced in the 6th episode of the 5th season of Lost as an officer boarding a Jira Airways Flight 316 with Saeed in her custody. Okay, yeah, I guess that's someone. 77, Nikki and Paulo. 76, David Shepard. That's Jack's son that doesn't really exist. 75 is Shannon. 74, Bernard. 73, Detective Mars. 72, Vincent the dog. 71, Frogert. 10 minutes in, Joe Rogan would casually hint that lifting weights might help Frogert get laid more. 70, Sarah Wagner. Who? Rogan would spend the whole episode asking, but seriously, why do you leave Jack? While Sarah just rolls her eyes and mutters something about daddy issues. 69, Kate's dad. 68, Liam Pace. Rogan would kick off the episode with, I heard Drive Shaft is finally going to have a reunion, only for Liam to explain, nah, man, you're thinking of Oasis. That's pretty good. 67 is Phil. He's one of the Dharma crew. 66 is Bram. Bram would rant about Jacob saving the world, and Joe would randomly ask, but have you tried Lion's Mane coffee? Brian would shake his head, muttering, you're on the wrong side, Joe. 65 is Nadia. 64 is Boone. Remember Boone? 63 is Aldo. He was played by Rob McElhenney. Rogan would be excited to drop It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia references, assuming Aldo knows about it because of the actor's connection. Aldo, completely oblivious, would just blink and ask, what's always sunny, leaving Rogan awkwardly butchering the dentist system. Okay, apparently I am going to get 8 minutes out of this. 62 is Carmen. Carmen would spend the whole episode trying to feed Joe, insisting he needs more home-cooked meals. Joe would try to steer the conversation back to Hurley's lottery win, but Carmen's too busy telling embarrassing stories about Hurley. 61 is Dr. Pierre Chang. That's the guy from the Dharma videos. 60, Carl Martin. He's a character that got tortured by the others. 59 is Danny Pickett. Pickett would go on an unhinged rant about how grilling was the only thing keeping him from losing it on the island. You think I tortured people for fun, Joe? No, it's just stress from never getting the damn grill hot enough. 58, George Minkowski. This is one of the actors that was on Succession. The entire episode would be Rogan asking, did you watch Succession? Over and over, while George tries to explain he's not actually in the show. 57, Matthew Abaddon. Same joke, but have you seen The Wire? 56, Cindy Chandler. She's one of the flight attendants. Rogan would ask, so do the others get TSA pre-check or what? 55 is Lennon. Joe would peg Lennon as the kind of guy who could handle some potent edibles. Big mistake. Lennon would get way too high, turning the conversation into a paranoid mess, rambling about Dharma secrets and human sacrifice. 54 is Sun. Sun would ignore all of Joe's questions about survival and island life, instead launching into a passionate rant about the superiority of Korean skincare. 53 is Rose. After Rose reveals her cancer returned after leaving the island, Rogan would suggest microdosing shrooms, grounding, and of course, buying a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Rose would not politely, clearly unimpressed. All right, we have 52 more to go, so this will come back someday as weekend filler, but let's move on. Stephen Rogers is taping his special today. I was checking out his comedy. He's got some Mark Norman in it. Stephen Rogers is a Syracuse-raised comedian based in New York City who's been making others laugh for most of his life. He's teaming with Nate Bargatze's Nateland Entertainment to produce the new special, taping tonight at the Comedy Fort in Fort Collins, Colorado. Stephen's clever rapid-fire material full of observations about his life and the world around him has led to him appearing on The Late Show with Colbert, Corden, and Dry Bar Comedy. WPR was curious about Eugene Mermin's comedy festival. What's the deal with that? Eugene said, I did a weekly show in Brooklyn with my friend Julie Smith Clem. There was also an event that made me joke with her and Mike Birbiglia at the time that I was going to do a Eugene Mermin comedy festival, and how I wouldn't do that because I was not a known comic. It was particularly ludicrous to suggest, but I thought we should do it because it would be silly. It was really fun. So at some point we decided to do a second one, and then that grew into doing a decade of these very silly shows. Veronica Slovakowska is one of Vulture's comedians you should and will know. What comedian's career trajectory would you like to follow? She said, maybe Adam Sandler. Terrible choice. Actually, great choice. I mean, Adam's rich. He doesn't care. Do you want the money? Or do you want people to go, well, that was a good body of work? Take the money. Doing a bit of everything and doing it with your friends and family seems awesome to me. You know, she is right. And Donald Glover's, the funny shows, the serious ones, the music, very cool. Worst show ever. I was booked on a magic show, like where magicians do magic, and I'm the comedy act in between. So I thought, okay, easy breezy, everyone needs a laugh. Turns out these magicians were so amazing, it was mind-blowing, and B, funny. When it was my turn to do some alt comedy following amazing magicians who were hilarious, charming, and also hot, I ate it. So now I do magic in every one of my sets. Her joke writing process. When an idea comes, no matter where I am or what I'm doing, I write it down. You think you'll remember it, but you won't. Also having stuff planned, but still being able to riff and play. There's a sweet spot between being prepared and following your gut. Best comedy advice, worst comedy advice. Best, the audience is as smart as you. So what would you want to see? Worst, the audience is a baby and you have to teach it everything. And that is your comedy news for today. If you'd like this program without commercials, there's a link in the show notes to tell you how that works. Short version, $5 a month. See you tomorrow.